The morning light should have felt magical, streaming through the lace curtains in the little room I had spent all night preparing in. But instead of butterflies, there was a sick knot in my stomach, the kind that told me something was about to go horribly wrong. My dress hung in the corner, pressed and ready. My makeup sat untouched on the vanity, and my mind kept replaying one thing this day wasn't about me, not in this house. I was supposed to be glowing, but my brother Aaron stormed in before I could even take a full breath. His jaw was tight, his fists clenched, eyes filled with that familiar hatred he never bothered to hide. "Where's the money, Evelyn?" he snarled, not even glancing at the dress. "You think you can waste it all on yourself when my wife needs a new car? When we have real needs?" I blinked at him, stunned. "Aaron, this is my wedding day. I saved every cent myself. I'm not—" "Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." Before I could finish, his foot came crashing into my ribs. The sound of the impact rang louder than the shriek that tore out of me. I fell sideways into the vanity, glass shattering as perfume bottles exploded around me. White, hot pain radiated through my side, and I gasped for air, clutching my chest. The door creaked open wider, and there he was, my father. Calm, cold, arms folded like a spectator at a show. His lips twisted into a smirk. "Don't ruin her day with drama," he said flatly, jerking his chin toward my sister, Lily, the golden child, the princess of the family, the bride everyone truly cared about today. "If you can't stand the pain, maybe you shouldn't have been born into this family." I tried to speak, my voice trembling. "Dad, he broke my ribs." Aaron chuckled, leaning down so close I could feel his breath. "Consider it a reminder. You're nothing but dead weight." I coughed, the taste of iron flooding my mouth. My vision blurred, but I could still see Lily in the doorway, her dress sparkling, her lips curled in disgust. She didn't even flinch. "God, Evelyn," she scoffed. "Always making a scene. Can't you just be invisible for once?" My chest tightened with something far worse than pain humiliation. Everyone was laughing, my brother wiping his shoe on the rug like I was dirt. My father muttering, "Pathetic," under his breath. My sister rolling her eyes, already fussing about her hair and makeup, as if my broken ribs were just background noise. I forced myself up against the wall, every bone screaming, but none of them cared. "This is my day," I whispered through clenched teeth. "No!" Aaron spat, smirking. "This is her day. You don't get days. You don't get anything." Their laughter followed me as I staggered to my feet, one arm clutching my side. I looked at them, the family who had done nothing but strip me of dignity piece by piece, who thought my pain was entertainment, who thought my silence meant defeat. And something inside me shifted. The tears dried in my eyes, the sobbing stopped in my throat, and a cold, dangerous calm settled over me. If this was how they wanted to play it, I would make sure they remembered this wedding forever, not for the flowers or the music or Lily's perfect smile, but for the day Evelyn stopped being their punchline. I couldn't even breathe without sharp pain tearing through my side, but somehow I managed to slip out of that room. Their laughter was still echoing behind me, bouncing down the hallway like a sick anthem. Each step made my ribs ache, but each ache hardened something in me. I wasn't going to let them see me crawl. Not anymore. I found myself in the tiny bathroom at the end of the hall. I locked the door, turned on the faucet, and stared into the cracked mirror. My reflection barely looked human, pale face, mascara streaks, blood drying at the corner of my mouth. My ribs throbbed with every shallow breath, but behind the mess, my eyes looked different. They weren't just hurt anymore. They were dangerous. I leaned closer, gripping the sink with trembling hands. "You will not ruin me," I whispered to the mirror. Not to Aaron, not to Dad, not to Lily. Not anymore. For years, I had swallowed their poison. I had been the easy target, the scapegoat, the so-called street garbage they threw insults at when they wanted to feel taller. I had been the sister who did the chores while Lily wore the crown, the daughter who could never measure up to Dad's standards, the shadow in every room. But something about that kick to my ribs, that smirk on Dad's face, that scoff from Lily, It rewired me. I wasn't going to leave this day in pieces. If they thought I'd play the victim one more time, they were dead wrong. I forced myself into the shower, clothes and all, letting the cold water shock me back to focus. My hands shook as I cleaned my face, combed through my wet hair, and pulled myself together. Every bruise screamed, but my mind was strangely quiet, focused, sharp. When I finally walked out of that bathroom, I was different. The house was buzzing with preparations, laughter, champagne glasses clinking, relatives fussing over Lily's veil. No one looked at me twice. I was invisible again, and for the first time, I welcomed it. Being invisible gave me the space to plan. I slipped past the living room, past the crowded kitchen, until I reached Dad's study, his throne room, the place where he kept all the strings he pulled. The heavy oak desk was littered with papers, contracts, business files. Dad's empire wasn't built on honesty. I'd known that since I was old enough to read. He thrived on intimidation, shortcuts, and fear. And there it was, folder after folder, carelessly stacked. Documents about unpaid contractors, shady deals, signed agreements that looked like they'd been forged. Dad had always underestimated me. He thought I was too stupid, too broken to understand what he did behind those doors. But I understood perfectly, and for the first time, I realized just how much power he had left unguarded. I slipped a handful of papers into my bag, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. I took photos with my phone, each click of the camera a tiny act of war. Then came Aaron. His arrogance left trails too. Messages on his unlocked laptop bragging to friends about how he handled clients with threats, how he skimmed cash, how he used Lily's wedding as his big chance to flaunt wealth he didn't earn. And Lily? She wasn't just the sweet princess bride everyone thought. Screenshots on her tablet showed a different story. Debts hidden under fake accounts, secret conversations mocking even her own fiancé, treating him like a fool she'd snagged for money and status. My ribs still ached with every move, but every discovery dulled the pain a little more. For once, their cruelty had given me clarity. They had cracks, and I was going to split those cracks wide open. I returned to my room, slipping back into the corner like I had never left. Outside, the music started, guests arriving, voices rising with excitement. I sat silently, holding my phone, scrolling through the evidence I had just collected. Every photo was a weapon. Every file was a match waiting to be lit. Then I heard it again. Dad's booming laugh downstairs. Aaron's voice bragging about how family keeps order. Lily's shrill giggle floating above them all. It used to make me feel sick. Now it made me smile. Because I finally knew something they didn't. They thought I was weak. They thought I would vanish into the shadows like always. But I was planning something they would never forget. Something that would shatter their perfect image in front of the same crowd they had forced me to live beneath for years. I clutched my ribs and whispered to myself, "Enjoy your day, Lily, because by the end of it, this wedding won't be remembered for you. It'll be remembered for me." And for the first time that morning, I felt a calm, chilling satisfaction. The church bells rang, echoing through the town, and I stood in the back, ribs wrapped tight under my dress, every step screaming with pain. But I didn't flinch. Not anymore. Today wasn't Lily's fairy tale. It was mine. Guests were packed shoulder to shoulder, glittering in silk and jewels. They whispered about Lily's beauty, Dad's success, Aaron's charm. Their voices stung like acid, but I held my phone tight, my weapon ready. When the ceremony began, Dad strutted down the aisle like he owned the world. Mom walked with him, her nose tilted high, whispering to relatives about how proud she was of her golden daughter. Lily followed, glowing in her white gown, smugness etched into every smirk she gave. And Aaron? He stood at the altar like he was about to crown himself king. I sat in the last pew, my hand steady, my phone connected to the giant projector they'd set up to stream Lily's wedding photos for everyone. Only, I hadn't uploaded the pictures Lily wanted. The pastor opened his mouth to begin the vows. That's when I stood. "Before you bless this marriage," I said, my voice cutting through the silence, I think everyone deserves to see who they're really celebrating." Gasps rippled across the pews as I lifted my phone and tapped the screen. The giant projector flickered, and then, instead of Lily's engagement photos, Aaron's group chats appeared in bold letters. Messages about skimming money, laughing about threats, calling clients idiots who paid him to shut up. The room exploded, gasps, shouts. Aaron went pale, lunging toward me, but I raised my voice louder. "Wait, there's more." The screen switched to Lily's tablet screenshots, her fake accounts, the debts, the conversations where she mocked her fiancé, calling him her puppet with a wallet. The groom's face twisted from joy to rage as he yanked his hand away from hers. "You, what the hell is this?" he shouted, his voice breaking. Lily stammered, tried to laugh it off, but no one was laughing anymore. And then I dropped the hammer. Dad's forged contracts, the unpaid workers, the tax documents, every guest in the pews, his business partners, his investors, his friends, stared at the giant screen with wide eyes. Phones buzzed, cameras clicked, whispers turned into a roar. Dad shot up from his seat, his face red, sweat dripping down his temple. "Turn it off! Turn it off!" he bellowed, but no one listened. "Pain teaches trash faster, right, Dad?" I said, my voice steady and sharp. "Guess you're about to learn how fast it spreads." The crowd turned on him like wolves. Business partners stood up shouting about fraud. Neighbors whispered about how they always suspected something. The groom's parents stormed out, dragging their son with them, leaving Lily in tears at the altar. And Mom, she stood frozen, her perfect face crumbling as I flashed her texts, screenshots where she called me garbage, where she admitted Lily was her only real child. Guests stared at her like she was poison. The church was chaos now, phones recording, people yelling, my family flailing in the wreckage of their perfect show. I walked down the aisle slow and steady, ribs aching but chin high. When I reached the front, I looked at Dad, Lily, Mom, Aaron, all of them collapsing under the weight of their own sins, and I leaned in. "You tried to ruin my body, my life, my spirit, but you just handed me the stage, and I canceled you." Then I turned, walked out the door, and left them screaming in the ruins of their reputation. Outside, the bells kept ringing, but this time they didn't sound like Lily's wedding bells. They sounded like victory. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.